Hello, this is Frances Ades. Welcome to Frances Fragrant Inspiration. Today's question for you is, do you try to justify things? Do you make excuses, or do you go into resistance mode, or do you go directly to the solution? You know, when you work with a team, your team can be your family or your colleagues or people you collaborate with. Sometimes things come up where there are different points of view, or something has come up where you don't agree on it. So how do you go about that situation? Do you try to justify every little detail? This person has done that, and that person has done that, and that's because I have reacted that way. And do you feel the energy of that when, of course, you bring light to the situation, and of course, you listen to all sides of the story in order to get the solution? But sometimes you feel the resistance mode in the different parties, and then it's just the resistance feelings, and you get stuck in that resistance energy. So the moment you justify things, or the moment you try to record every little detail, and that person has done that, and it's his or her fault, and that's why I reacted like that, does it really move you forward in that moment, or does it get the whole team stuck in that energy? I always enjoy working in a team and working with other people on all kinds of projects because, be it in a family or with your best friends or with your colleagues, other people often reflect your own topics. The topics you don't want to look at, or the things you don't even realize when you're just with yourself. But by going out there and working with a whole team, you get to realize your golden opportunities where you can grow, where you can really see things the way they are. And it might not always please your ego or your pride. Hey Brandon, greetings! And you might be disappointed, or some feelings got up, and you might feel a little bit pissed off, but yeah, my meditation teacher, he always said, when you meditate every day, when you try to live peacefully and you try to contribute, nowadays you don't just live in the caves of the Himalaya like the yogis did, and you don't cut yourself off from the world, but the real teachings take place with other people directly in this world. So with your family members, with your colleagues, with your friends. And I really like that because when you go into your family, when you have family arguments or you have disagreements between co-workers, then the real Buddha within you comes out. Because I'll show you a little exercise you can do in a moment. And this little Buddha you have when you meditate in the morning, when you do your morning routine, or when you're all by yourself, you can be that peaceful Buddha in that lonesome cave in the Himalayas, and you can be all peace and all light and all love. But how can you implement that in your everyday life? And that's really what's counting, because when you're inside your family, that's what my meditation teacher said. When you think you are the Buddha and you have the most patience and love, then just go into your own family, because they know you and they test you. And when you can still stay that calm and peaceful Buddha inside your family, then you have really mastered it. So how about you? I sometimes experience situations where I feel the inner resistance rising up, and continuing on yesterday's video, I gave you a few solutions on how you can ask the right questions to get out of that stuck energy into the solution. And this directly connects to that because you can really form a question out of the justifications or excuses or ego plays you make. And instead of justifying things or blaming others, you could just go about with a whole different energy and ask the team and ask yourself, how can I contribute now? Now that we have this situation, now we have these different viewpoints coming up, how can we get to the solution? How can we solve it so we look forward and we make this a golden opportunity for learning and for growing personally? So while making this question, do you feel how the energy shifts from the justification, from the blame mode where you and the whole team get stuck, and it shifts towards the solution and the energy is flowing again? So I invite you and then inspire you in today's video again to shift towards a question, shift towards the solution. So how can I make things work right now? Now that we agree to disagree, how can we agree on something that leads us to the solution? And instead of going into justification or blaming others or blaming yourself and listing every little detail that went wrong, you can just ask, okay, how can I help now that we get to the solution? Hey Brandon, thanks very much for your comments here. Brandon also meditates daily. That's excellent. Wow. And you know, the more you practice meditation, the easier it gets for you to activate this little Buddha sitting peacefully in a cave in your everyday life. And you know me by now, I always give you a fragrant inspiration, because with a fragrance, you really connect to your feelings and to your true self. And the moment you get into resistance mode, the moment your feelings just mount up in front of you and they say, oh, that person's not right, that's not really the right thing to do. The moment you get into that stuck energy, you can just take a drop of peace and calming. I think the name says it all. And it's really by diving into that wonderful bouquet of fragrance, of essential oils. Just take a deep breath and remind yourself of the inner peace and calm you already have within you. You don't have to be right, you don't have to justify things, you don't have to go into ego mode, but you just remind yourself of that little Buddha who is peaceful, who is calm, and then you bring a whole different energy to the whole situation. And you will be astounded at how people react to that peaceful energy. They feel that you're not trying to harm them or hurt them, but they feel that you are genuinely interested in a solution. And that's the whole energy and feeling coming across. And peace and calming really helps with that. So, Brandon, thanks very much for your comments here. That's really an inspiration for all of us, including me. The moment I feel the inner resistance, I immediately go into the question, okay, how can I move out of that? How can I be grateful in that moment? How can I be productive and constructive towards the solution in that moment? And peace and calming really helps me to anchor that feeling of peacefulness and inner calm, so I can enter the situation in a whole different feeling and shift the whole energy of the conversation. And also we had our Team Enjoy Aroma Day in Hamburg this Monday, and Dr. Ego was speaking. Aditya Novotny, he told us about the 7 mechanisms of the ego, and it was so interesting to hear that going into resistance mode is really just a mechanism of the ego that prevents you from growing as a person, that prevents you from going forward. And the moment you see that kind of masquerade of the ego showing here, you can just detach yourself from your ego and say, okay, let's remind myself of the little Buddha within, get some peace and calming into my life, and then go directly into the solution. As always, I can send you a fragrant letter if you want to dive into the fragrance of peace and calming. It really also helps many families when you have teenagers in your household, for example, and you have a lot of different opinions, different viewpoints on things while they are growing up and discovering themselves. Then peace and calming can really be a lifesaver for difficult situations. And I know many families who've made it a ritual, the peace and calming ritual, that before getting into an argument or before fighting of the different egos, you just take a drop of peace and calming. Remind yourself of the little Buddha within you, and then you can resolve the situation in a much more peaceful manner. So just send me a message here if you want a fragrant letter with peace and calming. And also, I invite you to my website livefragrantly.com, where I take you further on that fragrant journey on how you can release stressful thoughts and emotions, how you can relax your body and be in your flow, and how to realize your highest potential. So for that, just hop onto livefragrantly.com, and I wish you happy implementing, and I'll see you in tomorrow's live video. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your experiences on this topic, and I'm happy to write back to you because I see every comment here, and I'm always happy to have a little exchange of thoughts. Alright, see you in tomorrow's live video again. Have a wonderful and fragrant day, and enjoy this little exercise with a little Buddha.